Welcome. Welcome to our exhibition. Today, we're stepping behind the gilded frames of the global economy to really examine the architecture of trade itself. Now, this isn't about the headlines you read every day. It's about the hidden machinery, the intricate designs that move goods, ideas, and capital all across the world. So pay close attention.
Well, sorry. Okay, so this place is a lot. And my question is, how does all this grandness actually work? I mean, really, how does some decision made way over in Washington, D.C. suddenly change everything for a t-shirt factory in, say, Vietnam? It seems impossible.
An excellent question. And it's not impossible, merely, complex. Let's proceed to our first exhibit right this way. Before you is what I like to call a masterpiece of interconnectedness. It's a grand tapestry depicting every single player on the world stage. Okay, observe closely now. Look at the brushwork here. See the delicate threads connecting absolutely everyone. You've got the company headquarters, naturally, but see how it answers not just to its own home government, but also to the host government where it operates? And then, weaving through it all, you have intergovernmental organizations, NGOs, the public. It's this dense, delicate, and often very fraught network of influence.
Now, let's move into a quieter gallery. That's much better. See, to truly appreciate the art of global trade, you first have to understand the fundamental form, which we call the value chain.
People often confuse this with a supply chain. It's a common error. A supply chain is really just about logistics, the simple act of moving an object from point A to point B. But a value chain? That is the art. It's all about how value is added at every single step of the journey. It's how you transform a raw canvas into a priceless painting.
I get it. So a supply chain is just getting the paint tubes to the studio. But a value chain is everything else, sketching the idea, mixing the colors, the actual brush strokes, framing the thing, and then hanging it in the gallery. It's the whole creative process, just spread out all over the world.
Precisely. And now for our centerpiece exhibit. Here in this hall, we have a diagram that illustrates the 5 primary styles or governance models that companies use to organize these global value chains.
Now, I want you to direct your attention to how this piece is arranged. Notice the x-axis down at the bottom, degree of explicit coordination and degree of power asymmetry. We're going to begin over on the far left with the simplest form, the market relationship. Here, the connection between a buyer and a supplier is based on one thing and one thing only, price. It's a simple transaction, like buying a stock canvas from an art supply shop.
So as we move from left to right, the relationships get a lot more complex. You have modular, where a supplier gives you a key component based on really clear specifications. Then there's relational, which requires deep trust and mutual reliance. And then we get to captive. I get that one. That's like a court painter. The lead firm, the king, tells them exactly what to paint, how to paint it, and they can't really work for anyone else. The painter is totally dependent, a surprisingly apt analogy, I must say. And finally, you have hierarchy, which is where the lead firm simply owns everything. It's just one integrated company, from top to bottom.
And now we enter the modern wing. In here, the art is less about harmony and more about, collision. We're going to explore the 2 great forces that can bend, break, and completely remake these value chains we've been talking about.
The first force is trade policy. Think of this as the museum curator, in this case, governments, suddenly decreeing a whole new set of rules. They can put up walls, like tariffs and quotas, or they can open up new hallways with trade agreements. And these actions can reshape the entire landscape, sometimes literally overnight.
The second force is the artist's response, what we call firms' strategic actions. You see, businesses are not just passive sculptures sitting on a pedestal. When the rules of the game change, they adapt. They find new suppliers, they upgrade their techniques, they reroute their entire process just to navigate the new environment. The crucial point here is that firms actively react.
And this schematic, it illustrates the dynamic beautifully. Look at this blueprint. A trade restriction is introduced over on the left. This triggers a strategic action from the firm there in the center. They might switch suppliers, maybe they upgrade their process. And the result, over on the right, is a completely reconfigured value chain. A whole new work of art born from conflict.
Whoa, okay, so that's all the theory. But what does it actually look like in real life? An astute question. For that, let us proceed to our final, and I must say, most dramatic installation. Prepare yourself. This is where theory collides with reality.
This list represents the tariff walls erected by the United States. Each country, each percentage you see here, represents a powerful force being exerted on those value chains we just discussed, and it comes with very tangible consequences for millions of people.
So, let's go back to your original question about Vietnam. Notice the tariff rate that was applied to imports from Vietnam, a staggering 46%. Can you just imagine the shockwave that sends through an entire value chain?
But then, look here, Cambodia, 49%. Good heavens, 49. At that point, the pressure on firms to reconfigure, to find a completely new path becomes absolutely immense.
And that leaves us here, at the end of our tour, with the great unanswered question. As these powerful forces continue to reshape the world, companies have no choice but to respond. So in this ever-changing global gallery, which strategies will be hailed as masterpieces of adaptation, and which ones will just hang in a dusty corner as cautionary tales? That is something to ponder.